Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. And by New Orleans Tourism Marketing Corporation, New Orleans, where stories are created. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, yay, Susan Larson, host of the radio program The Reading Life, airing weekly many times on WWNO Radio. Welcome back, dear.
Thanks,
Good to see you.
You
Speaking of radio and so many other things too, Poppy Tooker, host of the radio program Louisiana Eats, also airing many times weekly on WWNO. Hello,
Hi,
dear.
Peg.
Good to see you. Paul Willis, yay, Executive Director of next week's Tennessee Willams New Orleans Literary Festival and the Saints and Sinners Festival. We'll talk about all that soon. And Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com. First up, though, Poppy.
I'm so excited, but I guess that doesn't surprise you. I always am, but I'm really excited about what's going to happen next Thursday night. I'm finally going to get to teach a class at that new Noki facility on Lee Circle, the New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute. It is called, forgive me, Peg, it is called Lost Restaurants of New Orleans.
Vaguely familiar.
I know you had a book by that name, but anyway,
With Tom.
the class starts at 6,
That's okay.
and we're going to serve Corinne Dunbar's oyster artichoke appetizer, trout farci from Christian's with garlic mayonnaise, and Masson's Beach House almond tort. The classes are $65. You're going to have a lovely little meal. We're going to have a really great time. So come see me Thursday night if you're not with Peggy at Tennessee Willams. But I'll be with Peggy at Tennessee Willams come Sunday, because on Sunday I'm giving a talk at Dickie Brennan's Bourbon House about the Pascal Manalli's cookbook. You know, barbecued shrimp, it's the great uniter. And they have their own beautiful version at Dickie Brennan's Bourbon House that we are going to be serving during the talk. That's just $15. It's going to be really great. So come to the festival and come see me. But I think that this is like a dream come true for me. Tuesday, April the 2nd. There is a sea lion supper. It's part of the Audubon Supper Club. No, we're not eating the sea lions, but look how
Please
adorable
say that
they are.
quickly.
It's wild settings and sustainable dishes. The dinner is at the Odenheimer Sea Lion Pool. So right where I used to be able to ride my bike up when I was a little girl, that's where we're going to have dinner that night. And the menu is fabulous. Ceviche made with Gulf sheep's head paired with seared Gulf tuna poke, and the wine pairings, a Simi Sauvignon Blanc, New Orleans style, speaking of barbecued shrimp, with Mississippi cracked grits, paired with fried oysters over sauteed kale with bacon, topped with a brie sauce, and for dessert, white chocolate mousse and fresh berry crepe, topped with chocolate sauce and almond slivers. Of course, a beautiful Prosecco. But something that really caught my eye was their vegetarian menu, which is unusual. That's usually an afterthought. It's delicious. Wild mushroom compote paired with cucumber, tomato, avocado, and seaweed poke. And again, a New Orleans-style barbecue sauce with shiitake mushrooms, eggplant, grape tomatoes over Mississippi cracked grits with fried zucchini and the kale, topped with the brie sauce. It's going to be delicious, and I hope everyone will come out and dine with me and the Sea Lions on April the 2nd.
It gets my seal of approval.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
Alan.
good memories of that, and it's going to be a beautiful weather.
What a
hopefully.
setting! What a beautiful setting for a supper.
Really separate. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And Susan, yes, next week, many of us will be very busy and hope the city at large.
33rd time's a charm. I mean, how many years can we do this? But we do it every year, and it's always new. So time for Tennessee, as always. And I'm so excited, and I know you are too, about the Tennessee Tribute reading Thursday night, which is readings from the work of young Tennessee before he was Tennessee Willams. So Paul Willis and Thomas Keith have curated this wonderful evening of readings, and we have some great readers. Eve Ensler, the creator of the Vagina Monologues, Pulitzer winners Michael Cunningham and Robert Olin Butler, as well as Dorothy Allison and Bernice McFadden, and many others, and that's going to be really special. And Bernice is doing so much for the festival this year. We love her. She is doing a craft session on writing erotica called Dirty Sexy. I think that's going to be fun. And then she's part of a panel called Is Sex Necessary? I think we know the answers to that. And she will be with Dorothy Allison, Jamie Attenberg, Nathaniel Rich, and Constance Adler at 1 o'clock on Friday. We were thinking a lot about sex and desire this year on this festival. Now, the craft sessions Thursday and Friday are terrific. We have 2 from the New Orleans Writers Workshop. We have Michael Cunningham again and Robert Olin Butler giving you the benefit of all their
Pulitzer, baby, huh?
I know, and such great teachers, too. And then some exciting panels, and I'm very excited about my panel, which is Friday afternoon at 2:30, and it's called Reader's Delight, and it is, of course, books about books. So we have Sarah Weinman talking about the real Lolita. If you don't know this story, you should come and hear it. Anne Boyd Rue, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, The Story of Little Women and Why It Still Matters. Great, great book. And Ann Gisselson of The Futilitarians, and the great Maureen Corrigan from Fresh Air.
Wow.
Talking about, So We Read On, The Story of the Great Gatsby and Why It Endures, and Leave Me Alone, I'm Reading, which is one of the all-time great book titles, which I love, Friday at 2:30. And then, given the way things are going in contemporary life, we have some panels about politics. So we have How Did We Get Here? Politics in the Media. And that's going to be so much fun with Stephanie Grace from The Advocate moderating a panel, with Tom Sankton, who's written a lot about French politics and culture, Doug Brinkley, the presidential historian, and Robert Fiesler, who wrote Tinderbox about the upstairs lounge fire. And Lane Kaplan Levinson will be there to talk about her new series, Sticky Wicket, Politics in the Media. And that's Friday at 4. So that's a nice way to spend a Friday afternoon. Now, Doug will be staying over to do an interview with Errol Laborde on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, previewing his new book, American Moonshot, which is John F. Kennedy and the Great American Space Race. And that book comes out just next week. So this will be an exciting first preview. It is a scoop. It's a wonderful book. It's just fantastic. You know what happens, but you just keep reading and reading and reading. And then another one of our politically kind of minded panels is one on American optimism, because don't we all need a little dose of optimism this time? And it's called Finding Our Way in Troubled Times, and Maureen will moderate that with Jason Berry. And Jason said that writing A City of a Million Dreams gave him a lot of hope personally, and a lot of hope about the city, which is a wonderful thing. And then there'll be Doug Brinkley and Elizabeth Schwartz, who is a fantastic speaker and activist for gay marriage, and that's Saturday at 11:30. Now, Saturday night is going to be so special this year with a special appearance by Patricia Clarkson. We think it's her first, don't we?
Yes.
And she'll be interviewed by Brian Batt Saturday night at 6 o'clock at the Jazz Museum at the...
She's actually in the Queen Anne Ballroom at the...
Queen Anne Ballroom, okay, at the Montleon. And there'll be a highlight reel of great moments from her career, so I know we all want to see that. Now, Sunday we'll start off with a lot of laughs with Julia Reed and Roy Blunt Jr. with John Pope, talking about the South as we see it. So that's Sunday at 10. And one of the things we're really excited about this year is that we've gotten these wonderful partnerships with all kinds of people and places. And World Edition's partnership is bringing us these 3 great Belgian writers, Saskia de Koster, Anneliese, it's hard to pronounce Belgian names, Anneliese Verbecke and Christian Hemmericks, and they all have new books. And in Belgium, they are all distinguished authors who've written many, many books, but this will be our first chance to get to meet them. And that's Sunday at 1. Now, one of the things we're really proud of this year is that it's such a diverse festival. There's so much about New Orleans. We have Mardi Gras Indians, we have sewers, drummer to be with Chief Victor Harris of the Fayaya, and then we have neighborhood architecture, neighborhood panels. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Whole day of music at the Palm Court.
Yes, with our own great
Sunday.
musicians. And we have these international writers, which, adds an incredible flair to the festival. And then we have our Sex and Desire panels, which are fun to do. But a lot about Tennessee, too, like, fact-checking the myths about Tennessee. And Tennessee is a character in fiction. And we have Chris Castellani, who wrote that wonderful book, Leading Men, about the playwright's long love affair with Frank Merlot, which is just fantastic. And then the theater. You have so much work to do. I'm so sorry. Christina Quintana's play, she's a native New Orleanian. It gets its world premiere at Southern Rep. Azul is going to be great. And then Baby Doll at La Petite. And then Suddenly Last Summer at the Tennessee Willams Theater Company. And who doesn't love Suddenly Last Summer? I mean, it's such a favorite of
Yes,
his.
we'll be talking lots more about theater too.
It's so
but
much fun this year. I can't wait.
And Confederacy, but that's almost sold out. So
Hurry.
Holy Warriors, just lots of great things. But we're so glad you're here. Thanks for the overview.
Thanks.
And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Katie Ditzel gave us the namesake of the local Italian restaurant and the Italian island that the owner is a native of. Ha! We know Andreas, and he is from the island of Capri. Now tonight's question. The 2012 Men's Collegiate Basketball Championship game was played here in New Orleans and won by Kentucky. And that was, of course, in 2012, as we said. So in what building was the game played? And who was Kentucky's most valuable player? Email your answers to Steppin Out at WYES.org. Our prizes: a year subscription to Louisiana Life magazine, and a dish towel with the message "Love is beignets" from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. We also have a pair of free admission passes to either the Audubon Zoo, Poppy Aquarium of the Americas, or the Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. You can go to WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including the opening of Old Metairies, a brand new linear park, which is tomorrow, and the body art performance artist immersive dance experience called Maison, which is in somebody's house, and that'll be next Friday and Saturday. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to see our program. So now, Paul, we should say, we're looking Tennessee Willams in its 33rd year, but Saints and Sinners, which is the GLBTQ festival, now in its 16th year.
It is. This year's our Sweet 16, as we've been using for some of our marketing images, and it's now a program of the Tennessee Willams New Orleans Literary Festival. And we're going to kick off on Thursday night with a combination event for both festivals. You may remember we used to do a poetry slam years ago at O'Flaherty's Irish Pub. This year we're bringing that event back, and it's going to be at the Ace Hotel. And following the poetry slam, we're going to have our first ever Saints and Sinners themed drag show hosted by Vin Santos, who I think Poppy might know.
Might be my cover girl.
And then the festival kicks off with our literary discussions and master classes on Friday, March 29th. We have a series of master classes at the Hotel Monteleone with some incredible writers, including Dorothy Allison. Judy Gran is going to facilitate a course on memoir writing and helping people turn memories into stories. And I think another class that'll be interesting for people is being taught by Felice Picano, who's been a long favorite of the festival, on how to write for screen, television, and Broadway. So I think that'll be a very interesting course. On Saturday, we start with a series of literary discussions, as well as we have a reading series sponsored by the John Burton Harder Foundation. And what that is throughout the weekend, there are slots of 6 to 7 writers that read from their most recent works works that they're kind of shopping and wanting to get input from. So over 50 readers will be reading throughout the weekend. It's really nice to kind of sit and have someone read to you. One of the panels I'm looking forward to is on the genre of short story writing. Susan helped put this panel together, and it features Brian Washington.
Great debut. Studied at UNO. Yeah.
His book, Lot. Andrew Halloran, who is an icon in LGBT literature. I had written a review of his short story collection in September Light Changes for Susan years ago at the Times Picayune. It's one of the first times we might have.
And he wrote The Dancer from the Dance, one of the greatest, gay books ever. Just fantastic.
And we also have a panel on social justice for all that features Robert Fiesler and his Tinderbox book. Elizabeth Schwartz with her book With Gay Marriage. And that panel is being moderated by Frank Perez, a local historian, writer, and he's also the founder of the LGBT Archives of Louisiana. Then there's an interesting title that Susan put together that's called Haunting, Appealing, and Unforgettable. This is a panel that features Saskia de Koster from Belgium,
Yes.
Michael Cunningham, and Garth Greenwell. And that leads into a new partnership. We've had several this year in addition to World Editions. We're partnering with the National Book Foundation this year, who are sponsoring a panel as part of both festivals. And they're bringing Garth Greenwell, who was a National Book Award finalist for
What belongs to you?
What Belongs to You. And I always get it backwards.
I know.
And,
What belongs to you?
and they're also bringing Justin Philip Reed, who won the 2018 National Book Award for Poetry for his collection called Indecency. The festival continues with a special event on Saturday night in the Vous Carré room of the Hotel Monteleone. Each year we have a short fiction contest. This year we had a record number of entries. We had entries from Trinidad and Tobago, Indonesia, France, England, and this year's winner is from Canada, and our runner-up is from Australia. So it's a great event. We put all the finalist stories into a collection and produce an anthology that
Yeah,
we
it's really gorgeous.
give copies to everyone who attends that event that evening. The festival continues on Sunday, again with a series of panels. We have panels on memoir, we have panels on social commentary and crime writing, and an event that I think is going to be very powerful and meaningful for people is, it's called Bodies on the Line, and it's going to be a reading of works of people that have died of AIDS. And so writers are choosing works by people that influenced them or people that they actually knew. And some of the readers that for that session are going to be Michael Cunningham, Judy Grahn, Andrew Holleran, and Blanche McCrary Boyd. And then the event closes with a reception where we recognize an emerging writer. Susan knows who that's going to be.
So much fun. It's my
And
secret.
we also induct 4 people into our Saints and Sinners Hall of Fame. This year it's going to be Michael Cunningham, Judy Grahn, Cheryl Head, and Frank Perez.
All right.
And they're all
great.
such icons, you know, Michael Cunningham for the
Oh,
Hours.
we're so
It's just-
fortunate to have you. I mean,
it's
that's
great.
yeah. You know, 2 real quick things, just to say that Jeremy Lawrence, who embodies Tennessee Willams, he does this one-man show. I think a lot of people look forward to him coming. He's doing the one-man show again this year.
Correct.
But he looks like if somebody says, "I was in the quarter and Tennessee Willams passed by," I think that some people think that Mr. Williams is indeed still with us because he looks exactly like him.
And he's
you know.
currently staying in Mexico right now, where Williams often visited. And
So there you go.
and he's flying from there
He's
to
channeling.
here.
Everywhere.
He's channeling. And we've got the Stanley and Stella shouting contest, and so all kinds of things. But also, you know, if somebody has never been to the Tennessee Willams Festival, it's also just about good writing. I mean, you know, and so many other topics too. So
And even
TennesseeWillams.net.
And this year we have the streetcar ballet as well.
That's right, the ballet too. Yes,
And
absolutely.
to have a
so.
chance to get that close to a favorite author and ask them a question and get to meet them and get an autograph, it's fun. It's just a thrill for everybody.
And the
For
big
them,
thing is
too.
very accessible, which I
Yes.
like, which is one of the things. Anyway, thank you all very much. And now it is time, though, for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are celebrating the culinary and visual beauty of 3 St. Joseph's Day altars this past Tuesday at some local Catholic churches. These are altars of Lenten dishes in honor of St. Joseph, you know, and this altar was located at St. Dominic's Church right there in Lakeview. Note the intricate bread designs. Look at that. Oh, Poppy, isn't this great?
Oh, yes,
With
the
a
St. Lucie iPod.
Yes, and with the fig filling, and a familiar sight, of course, is we have a cake honoring St. Joseph, and many of the baked goods are made in memory of a loved one. Next up, though, was the precious tiny chapel at Cabrini High School, my fave. Another staple on an altar is a cake shaped like a lamb. Oh, so pretty. And also the intricate bread work, in this case representing St. Joseph the ladder, and of course numerous kinds of Italian cookies which you can get, some of those cookies year-round, and bricados. We love our bricados on North Carrollton. Then the altar at St. Francis Xavier on Metairie Road. That is enormous, okay? And part of the table was filled with frittatas, Poppy. similar to an Italian omelet. And another popular symbol is the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the
that's beautiful.
altar tradition, yes, is originally, of course, from Sicily and is experiencing a true resurgence around town. By the way, I visited Sicily a few years ago, and the altar tradition is not as popular there as it used to be. So New Orleans is helping to preserve it. So delighted about that. And now, Alan.
Well, today is Stephen Sondheim's 89th birthday, and
Wow.
we're going to lead off with one of my favorites of his works. And again, the cast at Rivertown Theaters assembled to wish him a happy birthday. With book writer James Lapine, Sondheim wrote the book Into the Woods, of course. Road shows and Summer Lyric Theater have presented this in the past. This version at Rivertown Theaters, though, is among the very best to grace the stage. The version that you'll see heads up with Shelby Mack in the role of Cinderella, with grace and beautiful songs. She controls the role and interacts wonderfully with all of the people on stage. Paramount among them is Kevin Murphy, who plays the baker, and seen here with his wife Maria Hefty. Also, they have a lot of interaction between the two of them as they seek out to become a childbearing couple rather than a childless couple. They meet the hapless boy Jack, played by Brandon Marquez, and his mother Allie Peck. Of course, who sends him out to sell Milky White, his best friend. Along the way, we encounter a very lovely person underneath this horrible makeup, of course, of the witch, Hannah Rochelle. She's beautiful inside and out. Of course, she sings very well. She keeps her daughter Rapunzel in a tower, and it's played, of course, by none other than Rachel Looney, who has this beautiful soprano heard throughout the work. Savannah Foushee, by the way, does really a great job. She's a sheer delight with such enormous talents, though, as Kelly and Mark Foushee as her parents. We can understand why. She plays Little Red Riding Hood opposite John Deddy, who plays the wolf. And Deddy does double duty because he also plays Cinderella's prince with Nicholas Stevens as Rapunzel's prince. This is directed by Gary Rucker. It's a fantastic rendition of a classic take on fairy tales. And again, I would recommend it very highly. It is, of course, a little bit more mature for some of the older kids, not for some of the really young ones. It runs all the way through March the 31st. Let's go on now to a work which I am really impressed with. It's the 60th anniversary of Voices in the Dark presenting A Raisin in the Sun. This was, of course, Lorraine Hasbury's wonderful work. Toma Myrick has been bringing out the cast here, led by the irrepressible Carol Sutton. Sutton gives an incredible, brave performance as Lena Younger, the head of the Klan, who essentially wants to see home ownership as the way out of their overcrowded apartment and also a way of achieving a part of the American dream. Surprisingly, Sutton has never played this role, and she seems to have been destined to play it. Her ability to interface with all the other members of the cast is actually natural, and she really enhances the entire production. Her angst and despair is just palpable. I have to tell you that she really plays some incredible scenes with Michael C. Forrest, who plays her son Walter Lee Younger. Walter Lee is a self-loathing chauffeur who wants to become, basically a liquor store owner and provide for his young family, but he wants to get the basically to the quick way to do the American dream rather than try to do it on an honest and slow-moving kind of track. He subsumes himself in the belief that this is the only way he can succeed. The play's title, of course, is a reference to the Langston Hughes poem, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? I know Susan would appreciate that, or fester like a sore and then run. Anyway, Forrest's characterization is really full of wrath and self-loathing. Among the other members of the Klan that you'll see, Benethia Younger is played by Ebony Dooley Johnson, and there's a really great spot there for Ellington Benoit, who plays Travis, the smart and sensitive kid. But again, a piece that you want to see. Shouts out also to Martin Batts Bradford as a Nigerian exchange student, and Carl Linder as the representative of the Clybourne Park Improvement Association, who is a thinly veiled racist. Again, the set design by Dane Rhodes is also remarkable. Go check it out if you can. It's at the Ache.
And there's parking space right there.
There
There's
is.
a parking lot.
The Ache Powerhouse Theater is where it's happening. That's A Raisin in the Sun through the 31st. Now, the history of Baby Doll by Tennessee Willams is a really long tale. I have to tell you, it's a brand new version of a play that we're going to be seeing at Le Petit Theater, but it's based on the screenplay that was written by Tennessee Willams for the Elia Kazan film in 1956. Maggie Windler, who's a noted soprano, this is interesting seeing a singer take on this role. She expands her theatrical reach by playing the child woman of Baby Doll, a piece that was first written as a one-act called 27 Wagons Full of Cotton. Baby Doll is really basically married on paper. She has yet to consummate the marriage, if you will, with her drunken and abusive husband, played by Paul Willis. He is Archie Lee Megan. Archie Lee basically burns down his rival's gin mill, Silva Vaccaro. He's a Sicilian of questionable background. And he gets, if you will, the evidence against Archie by attempting to seduce Baby Doll. Todd D'Amour plays Vaccaro sort of like a snake, oiling and oozing himself around the stage, and he has sparks as he and Baby Doll interact. The two of them really are amazing on stage. There is a bit of an unusual dialect that he used that makes it somewhat difficult to understand. I did have to say that was one thing that detracted from the role, but again, when they're on stage, it's amazing. Also on stage is the First Lady of the New Orleans stage, Janet Shea. She plays Aunt Rose Comfort, a woman who cooks and cleans on site. And Maxwell Williams, I want to say, really directs a beautiful, unusual play, generally enjoyable. It's superbly set on 3 different levels with costumes, lighting, and sound that are also wonderful. It's not Tiger Tail, which of course was the Tennessee Willams adaptation from the film, but again, there's a new work that was done by Pierre Leville and Emily Mann. It runs through March the 31st, and check it out.
Thank you, Al. Lots of stuff. You've been busy. Now time for our picks of the week. Susan.
Do not miss New Orleans writer Samantha Downing's book, My Lovely Wife, about a couple who spices up their love life with serial killing.
Ooh.
She'll be at she'll be at Garden District Bookshop Tuesday at 6.
I love the Pythian Market, and they are running the best contest. Win all of your coworkers a free breakfast by going to their website and entering. They're picking it April the 29th, so you've got all this time to enter.
Paul.
Looking forward to seeing Patricia Clarkson at 6 p.m. at the Hotel Monteleone on Saturday night.
All right, Alan.
And congratulations to Mark Hartally Productions for a sellout of Jeremy Jordan next Friday night. Here's a photo of Jeremy and me at Newsies. I'm sorry to say it'll probably be the closest I'll be with Jeremy for the time being. Also, Aurora Nealand is featured in a work at the CAC. That'll be on March the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Okay, before I go to my picks, though, I wanted to show images of Dr. Erwin Marcus's recent 100th birthday celebration. And all of these cakes were made by Mary Lee Fitzmaurice and Tom and Mary Ann's daughter, and she's talented in her own right, of course. And these are various aspects of his career. He's a World War II veteran, and he was a psychiatrist. And here we have him with his dear wife, beloved New Orleans broadcaster, of course, Angela Hill. And so happy birthday, Dr. Marcus. So excited, and such a beautiful event. And so kind. We love Angela, too. And my picks, the 15th Annual Patois Film Festival. It's all weekend at the Broad Theater. Each film has a $10 admission fee and can be purchased through the festival's website. Symphony Book Fair are having an opera and classical pop-up sale tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 on Oak Street, 8605 at their headquarters. CDs, vinyls, books, and more up for sale. Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is celebrating its 60th anniversary with a performance at the Mahalia Jackson Theater tomorrow. And don't miss the Louis Armstrong Park's annual Rose Tour given by Leo Watermeyer, who maintains the hundreds of roses there. That's a project of the New Orleans Old Garden Rose Society and Park and Parkways. No public funds used, though. This year's theme is Roses of the Jazz Age, and that's Sunday. And that is, of course, March the 24th, 10 a.m. Free admission at the park's entrance, 801 North Rampart. Tour is free. Thank you all so much. Thank you for watching. Good night.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. And by New Orleans Tourism Marketing Corporation, New Orleans, where stories are created. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.